The Orlando Magic look like the way we always wanted them to. Can they do it again today on Locked On Magic?
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is March 14th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic, for the first time in a very long time, looked like the team we all imagined they could be. Hounding on defense, aggressive on offense. What that says about what the Magic can still do this season and why we should still take it with a grain of salt. Coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic an even bigger part of your day with the Locked On Magic daily newsletter, the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. The last 3 months for the Orlando Magic have been a struggle. Injuries, inconsistency, a team that just isn't meeting expectation and frustratingly so. It has been a battle of saying, we know this team should be this. Why are they that? And frankly, we haven't had too many moments where we could say the Magic looked like themselves, where the Magic looked like the team they envisioned they could be. There have been maybe pockets here and there, but hardly anything that we could write home about. There is a reason the Magic are sitting where they are in the standings, and it's clear why. And yet, we know this team can be better. We're hungry to see this team be better. And so, this team, this fan base, everybody needed this reminder. They needed to see the Magic be the Magic. Not the Magic, but be the Magic we imagined they could be, that we believed that they can be, that we expected them to be. In a 113-93 victory over the New Orleans Pelicans, the Magic checked off so many of the boxes that define who they want to be. After a game where they got outclassed physically by the Houston Rockets, but did some good things defensively. The Magic played a game where their defense sparked their offense, where their two stars were able to take the ball and get downhill, where they were able to get the ball moving and cracking around the perimeter, where they were able to do all the things that this team promised us it could do, that this team promised us it could be. Every team's going to have games like this. Every team is going to have a game where the shots go in unexpectedly, where they just have this outlier game. The question is always, are they doing it in a way that they can repeat it, that they can do it again? And look, all due respect to our friend Jake Madison of Locked On Pelicans, the Pelicans are not a team to be so worried about. They're playing better, 5-5 over their last 10 entering this game, but the Pelicans are the worst defensive team in the league. That's no guarantee the Magic are going to score, of course. The Magic struggled to score against Utah Jazz, 29th team in the league in defensive rating. The Magic needed a game where it all clicked. They needed a game where they could impose their dominance, where they could look like a playoff team thoroughly dominating a rebuilding team. And so as the Magic built a 30-point lead, outscoring the Pelicans 36-15 in the second quarter, forcing turnovers, getting out on the break, spraying out for open threes, leaning on their two stars to carry them, with Paolo Banchero scoring 24 points in the first half, Franz Wagner getting 20. The Magic had a game where it all worked, where the vision was clear and all the pieces clicked into place. It starts on defense, obviously, but so much of the team's confidence and energy comes from their offense, comes from their offense and their ability to make shots. This has been a season defined by their inability to make shots, defined by their inability to do the most simple act in the NBA, in basketball. They needed to see the ball go through the basket. They needed to see it go through regularly. And so in a game when they shoot 51.8% and 13 for 33 from three, a game when they shoot 63.4% in the first half and 8 of 18 from three, on top of their usually devastating defense, to take a 30-point halftime lead and allow them to coast to the end of the game. We'll talk about the end of the game in a minute. That is something this Magic team has not done. That is something this Magic team has not experienced. They have not seen this thing work at its zenith. Something always knocked it back, whether it was breaking the lineup and the bench struggling to score, whether it was frustration over missed shots or turnovers or fouls or whatever it is. The Magic have not had many games where they could lock in and get the job done. They've not had many games like this. And it is just one game, and a game against a team that is now eliminated from postseason contention. So let's not read too much into it. Let's not bring out the banners and celebrate and wave the flags. But let's appreciate this for what it is. If the Magic need a reminder of what they're capable of, they got it Thursday night. If the Magic need to see and feel what Magic basketball looks like, they got it Thursday night. And building on a great effort against the Milwaukee Bucks on Saturday, and building on the defensive effort, if not the offensive effort, but certainly the defensive effort to scramble and be in the fight against the Rockets on Monday, the Magic can now build this on top of it. That they have put at least some of these pieces together. It's obviously not perfect. And again, it's the opponent matters. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. This is a good, positive sign of what this team can be. But the Magic still have work to do. Because the second half saw them fall back into the same patterns and the same frustrations. The second half saw them allow the lead get cut down to 15 with 8 minutes to play. Still plenty of time before the Magic put their foot down with a big shot by Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a couple of big shots by Cory Joseph to get out of there with the win. And then 20-point win, a comfortable 20-point win. They look like a team that was up 30 and let off the gas. And while that is acceptable and that is understandable, this Magic team's offense just isn't good enough to hold that off for so long. And a better team would have put them under some pressure, just like the Bulls did, like the Warriors did. The Magic were in tune with the details throughout the first half, and in the second half, they got a little fat and happy. That's not to take the buzz off this win, but it's to recognize what I've said throughout this whole year. The Magic are both of these teams. They are the dominant, aggressive defensive team that we saw in the first half. They can also be the frustrated and searching for answers offensive team we saw in the second half when Pelicans made their run. And every team's going to make a run. They weren't going to stay at 30. I heard that second half saying, keep this up at 30. And the Magic did until the end of the third quarter when they let New Orleans cut the lead down to 23 or 20 in that final quarter. Cut the lead down to 23 to end the third quarter. Still a huge mountain to climb, but Orlando gave up 55 points in the second half. It's not exactly great, especially after giving up only 38 in the first. The Magic will learn from that. Perhaps that reminder, that bit of humility will go a long way. But the important thing to take away tonight the Magic showed us they can still be the best version of themselves. It's not just faith to say the Magic can play that way. They can actually do it. And if they carry that over Friday night into Minneapolis, carry that over into Cleveland on Sunday, carry that over for the rest of the season, the Magic will have their fair chance to win a lot of these games coming up. And maybe that can salvage something from this season. So, how did the Magic do it? One of the big reasons, we'll get to the stars, but we got to talk about the locker room star, Cory Joseph, filling in for Cole Anthony, what he brought to this game coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who is cutting down the nets. I've already got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and if I could access FanDuel, FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. I'm in Florida. FanDuel's not allowed in Florida because, our government is stupid. With FanDuel, you can stay in on the action with tournament games happening almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on, and the FanDuel app is simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. So, the Orlando Magic started this game with a surprise, not a surprise announcement, but with a bit of a setback. Cole Anthony sat out the game, his second game sitting out, with what the Magic are describing as a big toe sprain, a left big toe strain. Strain. That's what it says on the box score. Cole Anthony's has missed another game with this injury before. This is an injury that is obviously really bothersome. Just think about how important your toe is to stability, your big toe especially is to stability. Jamal Mosley said after the game that he was all set to play. He didn't participate in all of practice on Wednesday, but he was all set to play. And then he went through his pregame shooting routine and it tweaked it and wasn't feeling right. They decided to sit him, keep him ready for the long run. He'll be re-examined when they get to Minnesota tonight before the game on Friday. We'll see if he plays Friday. I would tell you, do not expect him to play Friday. I think that this is a little bit more of a management situation. I think they should give him another few days and hope that he continues to get healthy and that it continues to heal on its own. There's just not a lot you can do. You just got to let it heal, and rest is the only way to cure it. So the Magic once again turned to little used and veteran guard Cory Joseph. You might recall early in the season, people asked me, why did the Magic sign Cory Joseph to be kind of their 15th man? And I said, look, Cory Joseph is a reliable veteran. He's going to come in. You know what he's going to give you. He's going to give you some stability. He's not someone you have to worry about, which I think ultimately one of the big pluses that he provides this team. You know what he's going to give you. He knows his weaknesses. He knows his strengths. And as we've learned, as those of us who've been around him have learned, he is an excellent teammate, just a chill dude, just a good guy. Cory Joseph, the Magic do not win this game without Cory Joseph. Let's put it that simply. He was a pillar of stability and someone who hit some absolutely huge shots in the fourth quarter to keep this game at distance and to put the Magic in a position to win. Joseph finished the game with 12 points, season high 12 points if I'm not mistaken, 4 for 9 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3, got to the line for 2 free throws, added 6 rebounds, including a putback at the halftime buzzer that made it a 30-point game, and 3 assists. Hardly a stat line to shout home about or go crazy over. But Cory Joseph delivered stability, delivered that veteran leadership. When things were getting a little hectic or the pace was going a little faster than the Magic wanted to, he slowed it down. He played point guard, got the ball to the right spots, got the ball to the right players, helped spread the floor because he is a bit of a three-point threat, and made plays when the Magic needed him to. That's not to say Cole Anthony wouldn't have done the same thing. Cole Anthony is also extremely effective. But Cory Joseph stepped up in a big moment. in a moment when he hasn't been used. You might recall that I said when the Magic signed Cory Joseph that I know I told this to people when they asked me why the Magic signed Cory Joseph. I was like, look, if the Magic are relying on Cory Joseph for significant minutes, that means something has probably gone terribly wrong. That means there's a lot of injuries. That means that maybe Anthony Black hasn't worked out the way the Magic had hoped for. It means that the Magic have gone well deep into their bench. Cory Joseph is here for the vibes. And he is definitely a vibe player. He's definitely been really good for that locker room and a good veteran leader and a good veteran presence for this locker room. His signing has been worth it. And frankly, this game, because I often tell people as well, you're going to need all 15 players during your you're going to need all 15 players on your roster during the season at some point. Everyone's going to be asked to step up and contribute at some point during the season. And this is Cory Joseph's turn. And largely when he has been asked to play, he has stepped up. He has provided the stability of the Magic. Now, don't expect him to be a defensive stopper. Don't expect him to take over games with his offense. Just expect him to be where he's supposed to be. And to provide, again, stability, calm, and quiet. That's Cory Joseph's role. And so in 29 minutes, of nearly 30 minutes, 29:51, Cory Joseph provided that stability. He provided that calm and composure. He provided that sense of what this team can do or help this team be the best version of itself. That is saying a lot. And that is something that the Magic know they can count on from him. This is a game again. Right now, Jamahl Mosley is hunting for anything that will work. We're going to dive in the box score here in a minute, and I'll talk a little bit about a lot of things that did work, but we'll also talk a little bit about how the box score is a little unbalanced. We haven't talked enough about Paolo and Franz yet. We'll get to them, I promise. Jamahl Mosley's looking for anything that can work. That means he's playing Jet Howard and Tristan Da Silva and Caleb Houston and he's played Gary Harris the last few games. He's trying to find who has it that night. And so when you can count on someone with stability, and this might be why Gary Harris stayed in the rotation so long, because even though I know people get frustrated by his lack of shooting and lack of scoring, he is consistent and in a good way, usually. His defense is consistent. Where he is on the floor, even if he's not getting those shots, and the threat that he presents in the minds of defenses is consistent. But yes, Jamahl Mosley's looking for more production right now. Maybe Cory Joseph has to be in that mix, especially with Anthony Black able to play multiple positions. Joseph has done everything this team has asked him to do. And when the Magic needed him to step up tonight, he stepped up. And that's all you could want from a veteran like him. Let's do it then. It's been 18 and a half minutes. Let's talk Paolo Franz. We'll get to that when we review the box score coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When you start using Monarch, you realize just how much you're spending on food delivery so you can budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps or using an Excel spreadsheet like I use, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. With easy collaboration, you can manage money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Okay, let's get into it. We're 20 minutes into the show. I have not talked about the game that Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner had. And that's a crime. Arrest me. That is not cool that I did not talk about the Magic's two top players and the players who really propelled this team and set the tone for this game. Paolo Banchero scored 24 of his 34 points in the first half. He looked like he was set to go for 50. If the Magic weren't up 30, he probably would have. Dude was just in rhythm, was getting downhill to the basket, was weaving through defenders. The Pelicans offered no resistance in the paint. Just a dominant performance from Paolo Banchero. He ends up shooting 14 for 22, 4 for 8 from 3, few heat checks in there, 11 rebounds, so a nice double-double, added 4 assists, 4 steals, just 1 turnover, even blocked a shot. Look, Paolo Banchero is, I don't know if he's back to where he was before his injury as far as his production. He is super close to it, though. And that's obviously a really good thing. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA since the All-Star break. His true shooting percentage is above 60%. This guy is playing exceptionally good basketball right now and is very much guiding this team and keeping them afloat and keeping them in games. Franz Wagner followed up a very frustrating effort against the Rockets on Monday with a really strong effort in this game. He scored 20 of his 27 in the first half as well. Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner became the first Magic duo to score 20 points each in a first half since play-by-play data was tracked in 1997. So maybe Shaq and Penny did it once or twice. It's almost guaranteed at this point that Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner will break the Magic streak. The Magic have not had 2 20-point-per-game scorers in the same season since Shaq and Penny in 1996. Paolo and Franz are breaking that streak this year. That's again, I stress that because that is the level of duo the Magic have. And yes, it is incumbent on the Magic to take advantage of this. It is incumbent on the Magic to make sure that this is the duo that takes them deep into the playoffs and back to the finals, and hopefully maybe a championship. That's how good these guys are. That's the kind of talent the Magic have on their roster right now. I know we're in a little bit of an offensive explosion era, but these guys are really good, and they might be the first pair of players who average 25 points per game for the team. Franz is starting to slip a little bit, but we'll see. Franz was 11 for 17. He scored like 6 points right off the bat, got to the basket. But honestly, and again, this is like my big point on tonight. It's about the way the Magic scored today. Yes, Paolo hit some of those mid-range jumpers he hits and hit some step-in threes that he hits. But everything the Magic did tonight, they're taking advantage of a bad Pelicans defense. I'm not denying that. But everything the Magic did tonight was completely replicable, was completely something they could and should be doing more of. The Pelicans slapped a zone on the Magic. And when Orlando tried to post up Paolo or Franz where they had a mismatch, they bring a player into the empty part of the zone, get it to him, change the angle of that pass, and then pass it. Jonathan Isaac ended up with, he only had 1 assist, felt like he had more. But his assist came because he flashed to the free throw line, lobbed it into Franz Wagner, who had good post position. Changing that angle is huge. And the Magic don't do that enough to try and get those mismatches. They don't do that enough, making sure they're changing the angle of that pass and making quick decisions before the defense can adjust. Orlando did that throughout, especially the first half. A little bit less. The second half was a little bit more, we're gunning for it. We're heat checking a little bit. We're settling that the pace wasn't as good. Orlando was really locked in and dialed in early and making these super smart decisions, moving the ball quickly, and then getting it to Paolo and Franz. Paolo and Franz had a lot of, Paolo did a really good job getting out and transition a little bit more this game. Orlando only had 8 fast break points, which seemed low. Magic were really happy with the pace that they played, how quickly they moved up the floor. Orlando did a lot of these things really, really well. And it was an impressive game. It was an impressive showing for Orlando, the way that they moved the ball and kept themselves in check. Again, Paolo and Franz did a lot of work to get shots themselves. They did a lot of the things that we expect them to do, but they had big games because the ball was moving to them. Orlando finished with 25 assists on 43 field goal makes. At halftime, they had 15 assists on 26. The ball was really moving and zipping throughout the game. And that's why the Magic were able to get quality looks. It's obviously not, Paolo and Franz had the bulk of the scoring, 61 points. So 61 of the 113 points came from Paolo and Franz. That is, more than half of Orlando's points. So is that a little bit of a red flag to me? Yeah, but that's going to be how this Magic team is. If the Magic want to beat quality teams, the formula is Paolo and Franz score one of them scores more than 25, the other is above 20. And then like a Cole Anthony someone else has to be at 15, 16, 17 points. Another player has to be at 12 and another player at 10. They need more scoring. The Magic did get some support. I mentioned Cory Joseph, 12 points in a whole segment on him. Don't need to go over him again. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was solid with 12 points, 5 for 10, shooting 2 for 4 from 3. I am still a Kenny believer. I think that he will break through this. Obviously, Monday was unfortunate with him not getting a shot again. I think that was a product of the Magic's lack of ball movement. The ball moved in this game. He got 10 field goal attempts. I don't think that's a coincidence. But Kenny is starting to shoot a little bit better, a little bit more consistently. And this was a really solid game for him. Wendell Carter, I thought, played well at 2, 8 points, 3 for 7 shooting, 0 for 2 from 3. 3-point misses were not good. 4 rebounds. Bad rebounding game for him, but honestly, I think the Magic wanted him matched up with Zion Williamson and wanted him to help make Zion's life hard. And for the most part, he did. Now, Zion still finished with 20 points, 8 for 15 shooting, 4 for 6 from the foul line, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers. But I honestly thought the Magic did a good job on Zion. I thought they did a good job walling him. I thought Wendell Carter did a good job absorbing his contact, making him shoot over tough defense, over outstretched hands. Again, Carter didn't have, I won't say Carter had the best game in the world. He missed some shots he needs to make, had some good finishes around the basket, some forceful finishes around the basket, got in the bodega spot a few times. I thought he still played a solid game. And again, just the Magic really trusts his defensive instincts and defensive chops. The big defensive star in this game was Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac had a classic Jonathan Isaac game. 8 points, 2 for 3 shooting, 4 for 8 from the foul line. Make your free throws, Jonathan. It's free throw awareness month. Make your free throws. 2 blocks, 1 steal. He was excellent. Played a lot of backup center in this game. The Magic went small with Isaac or Paolo at the center, depending on how you feel about it. But Isaac was active blocking shots, changing shots, was active around the basket. Only had 3 rebounds, but I thought he was just active everywhere the Magic need him to be active. And again, so much of this is just about walling Zion, making him see bodies, making him see arms, making him shoot over length. Even though Zion scored, I thought that the Magic did a good job of that. So this was a great Jonathan Isaac game, and I think he's starting to put together more of these consistent showings, especially on defense, that reminds you of who Jonathan Isaac is. So really, really like this game from J.I. Anthony Black only played 18 minutes of this game. It was really kind of weird. I thought Anthony Black also had a really nice game. 6 points, 2 for 4 shooting, made 2 3-pointers, 2 for 3 from 3, 2 assists, had a steal, had a block, a couple of really nice deflections as well. Thought he was really engaged defensively. This was, again, a kind of classic Anthony Black game. He'll take whatever you get from him offensively, shot the 3 confidently. Love that part about him. But generally, just was active on defense. And when he's active on defense, the energy of that bench group goes up. Orlando wins that second quarter 36-15. That doesn't happen if the defense isn't active. If like a player like Black isn't active, aggressive, and engaged. And look, now finishing around the rim, maybe the way you want him to, not attacking off the dribble, maybe the way you want him to, but he made a couple threes. That's usually a good sign for the Magic when he makes a couple threes in the game. Just the defensive energy was there. Orlando, again, I think the Magic crunched his minutes because they let that 30-point lead slip down to 23. Jamal Mosley, I think, was trying to end the game early in the fourth quarter. Sent out his starters. They let the lead slip back down to 15. Then they put their foot down. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope hit a 3. Cory Joseph hit a couple of shots. I think he scored 5 of his points in that run. They got it back out to 20. They were able to call off the Dogs, get ready for tomorrow's game against the Timberwolves. Unfortunately, some disappointing performances. Tristan da Silva still struggling to shoot. He was 1 for 5, 1 for 4 from 3. Jett Howard goes 0 for 4, 0 for 3. He played 10-52. He got the first call off the bench. Certainly eager to shoot. I'm not blaming Jett Howard for being eager to shoot. I think we can all recognize he's gotten better on defense, but the conclusion with Jett Howard is still kind of, he's gotten better at his weaknesses, but his strength is supposed to be his shooting, and he's just not shooting well enough. And when you're a shooter, your production matters. And I think that is a big part of this game. Overall, again, this was one of the best defensive performances the Magic have had in quite some time. Only gave up 102 points per 100 possessions in this game, a good 102 defensive rating. CJ McCollum was only 3 for 10, dealt with foul trouble early in the game. That was a big part of how the Magic were able to pull away, because New Orleans really doesn't have a point guard or a playmaker beside him. Jose Alvarado had 12 points, 5 for 10 shooting, 2 for 6 from 3. So some of that was there, but the Magic were able to kind of envelop him, and they're so big. Like, New Orleans bench is just really tiny and really small. The Magic size was just overwhelming for New Orleans. Again, because New Orleans wasn't able to hit shots, New Orleans was 7 for 25 from 3. Orlando outshoots New Orleans 13-7. That's 6. That's 18 points. That you got to make up. That's your margin for the game. Shooting matters. Because New Orleans wasn't able to hit enough threes, the Magic were able to really impose their physicality on them. And, they got some nice play. Trey Murphy III had 17 points. Carlo Makovic, a really impressive game, 8 points on 4 for 8 shooting. Don't look at that minus 30. Carlo Makovic was really active, attacking the glass on pick and rolls, really hard roller. The Magic didn't, the Magic were able to attack him on defense, but, the Magic had some weaknesses on defense they had to resolve. New Orleans got a little bit more balanced scoring, but obviously just did not score enough, and not having a big game from CJ McCollum. Again, he plays only 22-45 in this game. That is a big loss for New Orleans. Put this game to rest. Magic took care of their business against the weaker team. Good to get those reminders. On to the next. The Magic are in Minnesota as the Orlando Magic defeat the New Orleans Pelicans 113-93. Road trip continues Friday night in Minnesota against the Minnesota Timberwolves. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipR_OMD. Find me on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. For the latest on the, you can subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of the podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. As if all that's not enough, you can check out the Locked On Magic Daily Newsletter, the one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage, delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic Newsletter. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back again tomorrow to talk about the Magic's game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Phil Rossman-Wright. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.